Hello everybody. This is going to be my review of the AUTEL X-Star software that comes with the AUTEL drones. Really in-depth software. As you can see, you can start taking a look around. One of the first things I want to get into is down at the bottom in the middle. You can see the compass abnormality. And that gives you an immediate status of the signal to your drone. It's not really a good idea to fly your drone when you have compass abnormality. You want to take it away from that area and get good GPS readings and get a green signal before you fly your drone. So, moving on. Down at the bottom right, you can see your GPS satellites. Mine's right now bouncing from 18 to 19. On the other corner of the bottom of the screen, you can see is the Google Map location. And you can see above where I am now. And let's see here. And to the right of that is your general settings. And you can choose imperial or metric. United States, so use imperial. Enable hardware decode. I am not sure what that means, so I have not touched it. AMAP is a feature that I'm not interested in, so I do not use it. I like to show my flight route on GPS. It's really nice to take a screenshot once you've flown, and it's you can see your flight coordinates and everything, except for altitude. But I'm sure all of that you can get out of the drone. Calibrate coordinates for mainland China. I don't know anything about that. So clear flight route. So I guess that will just clear if your flight route is just all jumbled up and you can't really read it anymore, or you just need to clear it. You can clear your flight route and your map will clear out. Maybe I'll do another tutorial of that. My firmware version is up to date. Let's go to the about. It tells you your Starlink. I guess you're just your version, your firmware version. I'm assuming that's what that is. Oh, these are all your firmwares for everything. Look at that, that's fantastic. I forgot that was in there. Because I did try to update the firmware for the drone once, but it was already done, so it didn't take very long. All right, let's go back. Okay, so from general settings, let's go to gimbal settings. FPV, you may want to look at the menu what that does. I tried to use it and I had very bad instability with the gimbal was just all over the place. It was ridiculous. So I like to leave it on stabilized. If your picture is crooked, this is where you can adjust your gimbal roll. And as you can see here, if you go up in the sky and from where you lift off your point of origin, you say you're not on level ground or something like that, well, the gimbal writes itself to, kind of where you start. And when you lift up and you start to spin around, the gimbal will not, you'll need to adjust it. And this is how you do it. Adjust gimbal roll. And if you're really into your photography and videography, you'll find yourself doing that a lot. I do. We'll just leave it at 0. Okay. On to the next. Back into settings. So, we're done with gimbal settings. There's not much there. Let's move on to the aircraft battery settings. Which is a fantastic feature. Gives you all your battery information. I've only got one battery. So as you can see, I fly the heck out of it. I only have overall 68%. It's fully charged, but the capacity overall lifespan is at 68%. So let's take a look at the history status. Now I try to follow the manufacturer's recommendations. So whatever these historical states are, whatever these readings are, is all good. Whatever all that is, in history status. Times charged 47. Wow, that's a lot of flights. That's right there. Time to discharge 3 days. You can change this. I think it comes preset to, you know what, I don't remember honestly, but I have it set to 3 days. And what that does is, if you have a full charge, it's bad for the battery and storage, so it drops to a charging voltage, which I think is half or something like that. I'm not sure. AUTEL does a good job of letting you know about that in their tutorials. Voltage 16.3. I'm guessing that's sufficient voltage for the drone to fly. Shows your current. Nothing's running except for the camera right now, so I guess I could start the motors. I don't have any propellers on, so you're really not supposed to do that, but oh look, unable to start motors due to compass abnormality. Like I said in the beginning, when you have magnetic interference, you need to take your drone away from things like cars, because they create a magnetic interference because of everything in there. It's metal. Metal mainly really messes it up. I've found rebar will mess up your magnetic interference. Rebar and concrete. Okay, so let's move on to the low battery warning. Go home. So when it hits 25%, the drone automatically flies back to its original point of origin, which is where you turn the drone on with the remote. So you want to make sure you do that in a clear area when you do it, when you take off. So if you do have any problems and the fail-safe kicks in, you won't have a problem with it coming back and landing like it's supposed to. Critical battery warning, land. I have mine at 17%. So it will just start landing. All the lights will go red, and it will just start landing at that point. Doesn't matter where it is, it'll just start coming down out of the sky. I think, let me see, can I set this any different? No, it makes you set it to 25%. Which you can actually cancel that. When it kicks in, you can cancel it, and you can fly a little bit longer if you want to. Or if you have to, I should say. But I don't suggest doing that. Critical battery warning. Let's see, I have mine to 17. So if I do have an emergency, I'll stretch it a little bit. But I really don't want to go further than that. Because does this change in color at all? Because that's supposed to be really bad for your battery. So get your battery temperature, your total capacity, battery level, all this good stuff. Like I said, if I could start the motors and get the current going higher, really it's just the fan and the motor for the gimbal. Maybe if I move the gimbal left or right, it'll increase the current. Yeah, a little difference there. I don't know. So, all right. So let's move on to the next setting here. Video link. This is just your signal. I don't really mess with this. So that's your connection. See your channels, all the different channel video links. It does this all automatically. It finds the best one, connects to it, locks it on. I never mess with this. So that's pretty much all that's in there, really. On to the next, your remote controller. Gimbal pitch speed. Depending on what you're doing, you're going to want to change your gimbal pitch speed. You know, if you're doing some fast motion chasing stuff, you might want to switch it to high. There's quite a difference. I'll show you here. Here's it on high. It's pretty quick. And back up. So when you're in the sky and you have everything moving, there's a lot going on in your screen when you're moving that fast. I, however, like to run it a little bit lower, and you can go slower if you want to, and it's easier to go a little bit slower. You can speed it up. See, you just crank that wheel all the way. I'm just using the wheel on the left top of the controller, which is your gimbal pitch adjustment wheel. RC calibration. I've done this once or twice. It's pretty self-explanatory. You basically run it through its paces, like so. And there's your gimbal pitch. Everything's calibrated. I'd go through it, but maybe that's a good video. You pretty much hit start and you do this a whole bunch of times. And it's like, yeah, you're calibrated. So that's that. And back, RC binding. Your controller and your drone come pre-bound, if you will. They're already connected to each other, so you don't really have to worry about this. But to do it, it's pretty easy to cancel. There's a binding button. It's pretty simple. If you ever have to do it, command stick mode. This is your setup for how you want to fly your drone. And again, you'll probably want to switch this for doing different things. You want a different setup. Like mode 3 is good for, I like it for sports stuff, because you get your left stick and it's just all, directional. It's easier. I mean, it's pretty much the same as 2, but over the years you get more comfortable left and right doing different things. If you're an RC person, you understand what I'm saying. So it's like trying to write cursive with your left hand if you're right-handed. So it gives you some command stick modes there. RC language, that's pretty self-explanatory. Teaching mode, this is for if you want to hook up another controller for teaching mode to this controller. And you can either be the, as you said, as an instructor or learner. So as an instructor, it gives you more control over, it gives you lockout control. You can lock out the learner and, take over at the push of a button. So that is that. And now on to the drone settings, or flight control settings. Your compass calibration, which is what you're going to want to do every time you're flying it in a new location. Like when I'm flying at home, I calibrate my compass. When I go to the park, I calibrate my compass. Your geographical magnetic poles change everywhere you go. I've gone to some places in the woods and my compass reads in the total opposite direction that it's supposed to, because of all the granite and iron, in the ground. So you're going to want to redo that everywhere you go and every time you take off. Beginner mode, limits you to everything, distance and everything, and it makes it really. It's really if when you're flying an expensive drone like this for the first time. This is a moderately expensive drone. It's not a toy by any means. Um, you know, you want to get comfortable with it and do that using beginner mode. It's really nice. I highly suggest it. Horizontal speed speaks for itself. Maximizes you. It's like a governor. So if you only want to do 11, and again, depending on what you're shooting, you might want to adjust this so you can control how fast you go. You know, if you want to do some low flying shots, depending on the FAA regulations, how low you can go and how fast you can go, you use these settings right here. It's just as simple. You just go in and then that's it. That's how fast the drone's going to go. It's pretty nice. It'll go a little bit faster than 33 with a tailwind. But here's a helpful hint. If you decide to go fly your drone in like 25-mile-per-hour winds, and you fly it like a quarter mile away with the tailwind, you're like, woo, look at my drone, it's going so fast. You're gonna be fighting that wind. Really, it's gonna take forever to come back, and you'll be lucky to make it back before your battery dies. So don't fly in high winds. There's lots of videos on YouTube of people, they're losing their drones. One guy decided to fly his drone in a winter storm by the ocean on the coast somewhere off the east, and his drone ended up, the winds carried it over the ocean. He lost it, just disappeared. So altitude limit. You can set your altitude limit, need be. Mine is set high. There are instances where when you have your FAA license, I never go up that high. It's just, I just wanted to go up higher than where I was, and I just scrolled it up. But you can get waivers depending on what your needs are. You can get waivers from the FAA when you're licensed. You can apply for a waiver to say, oh, I need to go, to 600, feet, for a flight on, inspection on some lines or on some forestry or something. They're usually likely to comply, but they're real stringent, so they're also very likely to say no. So, be prepared to accept their answer either way. But 400, that's the limit. So really, I'm going to suggest to you, since most people are hobbyists, set it to 390. That way there's no question you can't go above 400. Because you know what? I've seen aircraft flying over my house, and there's only, I can fly where I'm at. I've seen helicopters flying over my house, and it seems around 400. So be careful, and always remember that aircraft have the right of way. If you see or hear an aircraft in the sky, you need to come down out of immediately. Bring your drone down, because you don't want to kill anybody. You don't want anybody to die because you were flying your drone, trying to capture some video or do an inspection, or whatever you're doing. So let's do that now, since my needs are met. Distance limit. I don't have my distance limit set because I'm not going to go further than 1.2 miles, and I pay really close attention to where my drone is at in the sky. And my eyes aren't that great, so I can't really see my drone more than, maybe half a mile. And I think I've never taken it more than like 3,000 feet away anyway, which is just over half a mile. So you can set this to, I forget, is this feet or meters? I don't know. 16 feet. feet. I'm not using that. You can if you want to. It's kind of scary flying your drone this far away. I wish I could join the mile club like I've seen some people. That would be nice. Maybe I will one day. I'll fly my drone a mile away, but that's freaks me out, man. Freaks me out. Go home altitude. This is for when your failsafe kicks in. Or if you hit your go home button on your remote, which is a fantastic feature. You're like, you know what? I don't know where the drone is. Hit come home. Not too many trees around where I am reach 98 feet. In fact, I don't think any do. So that's a pretty good height. You can adjust that, as it said on there, 390. You can adjust that. So shouldn't go any higher than that, so say the FAA. So that's why that's that. I'm going to raise it to 120. Okay, let's see here. Advanced settings. ATTI mode. That pretty much disables GPS. I'm just going to say not smart. Use GPS. It makes your drone smart. It makes it retrievable and trackable if it falls out of the sky and is still intact. So I'm just going to say don't mess with ATTI mode. I really don't have a use for it. I guess some people do. They could probably explain its uses better, but I cannot, so therefore I won't. Front LED indicator lights. Okay. The air traffic lights, or whatever, if you will. So the front are red, the rear are green. Some people think it's the other way around, but it's not. The front are red, the rear are green on this model. I don't know about other drones. If you take it up just at dusk, because you're not supposed to fly at night or dawn, you'll get a glare from the red lights, and so you can turn off your indicator lights just like that, and mine just turned off, so that way you don't get your glare. Exposure. Is that what that is? No, support EXP. I've never even used this. What is this? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to read about this because I have no idea what it is. Okay. So, flight data recorder, I don't think that is available right now, so I'm not even going to hit it. I think that's downloadable content. So, let's go back here. We went through everything. All right, let's back up. So, standby, we're just in standby until we're ready for go. We're not ready for go. Obviously, we're in my garage, so let's see here. I hope all this lets me go through it. So home, 6 feet. The drone is about 6 feet away from me, so that tells you the drone is 6 feet from home, which is you, the remote controller. This is feet altitude away from the controller. So. Altitude in regards to the controller. So I'm going to raise the controller right now. Let me see if it didn't. So I don't know how accurate that is. Maybe that's just the drone in regards to where the controller was when you first turned it on. I don't know. But I can tell you that is elevation. I thought it's got to be in regards to the controller. Because when I turned the drone on, it was about 6 feet off the ground, and now it's about -5 feet. So maybe it's where you turn the drone on. Let's do an experiment. Let's put the drone up. Okay, so the drone is where I turned it on. Yeah, it's in relation to where you turn the drone on. All right, so, So technically, you could cheat the FAA. Danger, Will Rogers. Danger. Technically, you could cheat the FAA if you think about it, because if you take off from a mountaintop, you got all that mountain plus the 400 feet above it, or a hill, not necessarily a mountain, but whatever. I guess it's in, to your, your current altitude. Okay, so enough jibber jabber. Shows your, your miles per hour, your speed. This is your orientation. So I'm gonna spin, and it's not working. You spin the drone, you'll see what happens here. There you go. So that shows you the pitch, the tilt of the drone. Here, there you go. Show you the direction it's facing. I think the red is the controller on that dial. I'm not sure, but that gives you an idea. It shows you, what your pitch is, which when you fly up, and like I said earlier, with the wind, sometimes you fly straight up and you're like, oh, this is pretty, and you don't realize that your drone is fighting a 25-mile-an-hour wind 300 feet above you. And it just destroys your battery life. But it's fighting that wind the whole time, and you don't realize it. So you want to pay attention to your pitch and all that. So it gives you an idea of your drone, because if it's not traveling in any direction and it's fighting a 25-mile-an-hour wind, it's technically traveling 25 miles per hour. It's just standing still. So it's because of the sonar and how the drone keeps itself in tracking in place. It doesn't sense any movement. So keep an eye on that when you're flying in high winds. Keep an eye on that. Because if it's flying like that, you're in high winds. Or if and it shows the front and the back of the drone. Look at that. That's cool. So, look, high winds. But see, your gimbal's gonna right itself when you're up there and you're recording, you're doing all that. So keep an eye on that. Flight time. With my battery fully charged at this point in the game, man, all these flights that I've had on it, my flight time, it starts out with 15 minutes, which, that's still enough time to get done what you need to do. But it's about time to start investing in some batteries, I think. And I think they're around $110 a piece. So the case, you can hold 5 total. I highly suggest it. It is well worth it. 82% total charge. That's at your capacity, which mine is at 68 total lifespan battery. So when I fired it up, I had 100%, I think. And 2 minutes throughout this video, it's been fully charged. So I've used 2 minutes of flight time with just the drone sitting with the fan, the cooling fan running on the gimbal, and the gimbal running its motors. So that's a pretty good draw, actually. But 82% left. So pay attention to that, because you can have voltage drop out of nowhere. If you decide to go fly in cold weather and the cold gets to your battery, you can have voltage drop. It's just out of nowhere. And if you go up, it gets colder as you go up. And it might not be that much colder, 300, 400 feet up, but if there's a front, it could be. And you could fly into a cold slice up there. It's just high enough. And so be careful. Watch your percentages. The software is going to let you know if you have an issue. And your drone's going to land too. So just keep an eye on it. This last thing, you know what? I'm not sure what that is. I don't pay attention to it. Here you can see your gimbal pitch. You can actually control it right here. Woo! Some lag on that. But whatever. One thing I'd like to request from AUTEL is upgrade the software to make the camera on this point up. I mean, it goes down. But why doesn't it go up? Let's upgrade that, AUTEL. Just saying. Anyway, so there's your gimbal control feature. This little square here is your whatever you have on the camera, on the drone. It'll beam it back to here, and you can view it through there. But as you can see, I don't have an SD card in there right now. Here you can hit, take a picture, or video rather, and then take a picture. These are your camera settings, your ISO shutter, and I just like to call this my gamma, which is your, I'll call it my gamma wheel. I'm not sure what it is. Here I'm supposed to be a videographer. And you can go into here and adjust all this manually, as you can see. And this is really great, just regular camera. You can do some pretty amazing things with this. Most cameras, you can set this all the way down. It's going to take a long exposure, and it'll sit there and it'll tick, and it'll be open for a couple seconds. Like, you can take really good pictures of the stars with this, believe it or not. Just set it on its back and point it straight up. Mess with these camera settings, you can get really good photos. You know what you're doing. Back to auto, because I like to shoot on the fly. I don't really have a lot of time when I'm in the air, unless I'm just messing with the drone, which that's another good point. When it comes to all these settings and everything, you get to your camera settings and video settings. It's a really nice camera when you get down to it. It's got a lot of features. White balance. Do you know what white balance is? We got a lot of people now these days, but I went to school for video, and we used to have to hold a white sheet of paper up in front of the camera and hit the white balance on the camera and lock it in, every time to set it. But now we've got these luxuries of all these, and you can, if you're outside, you do this, it'll white balance, and it will look good when you go outside. It's cloudy, you do the same incandescent light. Neon. We're in neon light right now. We're just going to go back to auto. That looks great. All right. These newfangled auto white balance used to really suck, because it would just go woo, 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 back and forth, and it was just annoying. Anyway, color. I guess this lets you set nostalgia, beach, classic, whatever. All these settings that I do not use. Film. Film's actually supposed to be really crisp, so that to me is like anti-film. But you got all these dream. Don't know what that does. I have to look at it outside. But you got all these features. What's that? Sepia nostalgia. Was that a copyright? Sepia. I don't know. Anyway. None, because you can always adjust that stuff later in your editor, right? Mode for your camera, single shot. Look at all that. Burst, time lapse, AEB, which I don't know what that is. This is a great video, isn't it, guys? And it's super long. I don't even know how long. It's probably like half an hour long at this point. Let's go back here. Pic format. I had to switch to JPEG just because it's an easier pic format to mess with. think my size is up all the way. Yeah, you can either do 4:3 or 16:9. 16:9 is more popular when it comes to your pictures these days, just because you want more data in there. Style, color, contrast, and maybe that's gamma. I don't mess with this either, for obvious reasons, because I don't need to, unless I'm doing some serious videography, which is rare. But I do have some stuff coming up, which I'll send links to. Some gigs. Video. I'm set to 1080p at 60 frames. Yes, this camera does 4K. Look at this, 4K plus. It does better than 4K. I don't have a need for that right now. So, and it takes up a lot of data and space. So we are on 1080p at 60 frames, which looks nice, looks great. Looks great on a big screen, so that's good enough right now, and it edits fast. Standard NTSC, video format MP4, for obvious reasons, with mobile devices, style, so I'm going to do that, white balance, color. Is that it? Yep, that's it. Let's go to camera settings, histogram, which is a nice feature, but I don't use it. There's the histogram. I'll move to near you can see it. I don't use it. Can you blow it up? No, you can't. I don't use it. It's nice. It helps you if you're, again, doing some serious photog or videography work. Nice. I don't use it. This I sometimes use my overexposure warning, which I'll show you real quick here. Makes it all stripey. Oh no, magnetic interference. That's what that does. It makes it all stripey, and it lets you know that you've got blowout, and which just means you're just gonna have a big shiny spot on your picture. Basically, like taking a picture and pointing it at a light and seeing a light on it. You don't have that spot of your picture. It's too distorted. It has too much noise. So overexposure, depending on what you're doing, if you're doing some real fine videography, photography, it's nice to use your overexposure warning. That way, if you're shooting in like conditions where you can't really see this, you can't really tell very well, it'll let you know. Subtle ass files, I don't know what that is. 3D noise reduction, I use that. You can instantly see the difference. Do you see it? Noise. No noise. It's like, I don't know, it's like ants all over the place. It's like old school video. It's like alive. And we're digitized. Okay. Auto flicker on. That is for if you have like a TV or there's a light, and you'll get that frequency wave going across the screen. This will fix your anti-flicker automatically. Grid. I use my grid because I do photography and videography, and I like to line up my horizons often. I think you can, yeah, grids and diagonal, center point, none. I like to use grid lines. Reset camera. I don't know what that does. Maybe that resets it to no. I don't know what that does, but we'll find out. What is, I don't know why there's that over my camera. So let's go back to settings here. You can format your SD card. Tells you your, I think this is your firmware version, camera version XP004. I can't wait until I can pick up the other cameras. I can't wait. I want the infrared. I want it all. I want the depth camera. I want all the cameras they're going to offer. I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. I mean, like, it's instantly upgraded. I mean, what else? What more do you need? I mean, the drone flies and it's got a camera on it, so yeah, you can put sonar and stuff on it to make for obstacle avoidance and make it a little bit better. But you know what? If you can upgrade the cameras eternally, that's fantastic. And hopefully all the batteries will just stay the same, so you'll always be able to buy batteries for this thing. Because, you know, you're obviously not going to get more than a year out of the battery if you fly it like I do. And I'm probably not going to get a year. So, that's fantastic. That camera slides right off. It's not a problem. And I've flown the drone without the camera. And, you know, it flies just fine, you know, all the same. I can't wait to get the other cameras. So, I think we pretty much covered it. You know, over here is all your camera settings, and it shows you ISO, you know, all that good stuff. Over here, you have your fly button, which is your autopilot, as you can see here, which is your orbit, follow, and waypoint. And they're disabled right now, so they're not even going to let me go in there. Normally they would be blue, but since we're not flying, we can't use them. So, disabled. Orbit, it follows the center point, which is, you know, I'll maybe do another video just on autopilot. All awesome features. I've used all three. Choose your landing takeoff button. This is your go home button, or land button. And this is your go home button, I think. Or set home point. That's what that is. So if your drone started and you want to like walk it out into like your cul-de-sac, you fire it up in your garage, reset your home point. So if you run out of juice and it auto lands, it'll do it where you reset it. And all those except for set home point are on your controller too, except for start motors. So, and that's pretty much it. You can blow this map up, but I'm not going to, because I don't need my street address to pop up on there for obvious reasons. So there you go. There's my really long AUTEL Robotics X-Star Premium app software review. So I hope you got something out of it. I hope you didn't fall asleep. And stay tuned for more videos. And heck, why not subscribe or something. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye-bye.